Hey everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk Can't even talk right. This is gonna be fun. Blogging and podcasting tips. And tonight I'm so far early on joined by Bernie. How do you say your last name? Is it Borges or
It's
Borges?
Borges, yeah, Borges.
Borges. Okay. So like gorgeous, but
There
Borges.
you go.
Bernie, why don't you get started by introducing yourself?
Sure, Joe. Well, again, my name is Bernie Borges. Sorry, Joe. Had to rub that in. So I am the producer of the Social Business Engine, and I've started to call it a media property because we certainly have a podcast. I've got episode 88 that just published, but I've recorded 93. So pretty along the way on the podcast journey. We also do some videos, about 28, 30 or so episodes into videos. And now we're publishing journals as well. So as of the day of this recording, we published volume 6, which we published in cooperation with IBM on a really cool topic on inclusive design. So we're really, kind of expanding our horizons, Joe, beyond just podcasting, even though podcasting is what we do most frequently. And then I can't forget to mention that I also run a digital marketing agency called Find and Convert, and we serve B2B clients, mostly technology clients across the U.S.
Oh wow, that's awesome, man! And congratulations on that many episodes for your show. That's wonderful. Most people don't get that far. So
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm not using any podcasting gear right now. I'm on my Mac. I just click, join, and I'm using the built-in mic on the Mac for this blab session here. I do normally podcast with a microphone.
Well, you do sound pretty good, all things considered. Because there's a little bit of an echo in the room, but it's not an echo like an air, to
Right.
your voice.
Right.
But it's pretty good. So as always, I'm Joe Pardo. You can find everything I do at superjoepardo.com and the recently launched yourdreamplatform.com, where I run the Your Dream Platform show, and that's been a heck of a lot more fun to run than my interview shows, because I get to be myself and loud and boisterous and talk about social media and building a platform and building businesses, which is my primary background for the last decade. So it's been a lot of fun. I mean, I love my Dreamers show and living the dream and all this stuff, but this talking this stuff, I could talk about all that. Let me tell you, Bernie, on Saturdays is like one of the saddest days for me. You know why? Because Facebook is it's flatlined on Saturdays. I don't know how much time you spend in the social media world, but to me on Saturdays, it's hard to get any kind of feedback. It's hard to get anybody to interact. People barely post. I mean, they'll post, but it's like drive by, I mean, to me, Monday mornings are like, boom, let's go.
Really?
Yeah, it's so much more activity, people interacting. If I post stuff, you're getting more likes, you're getting more comments, you're getting more everything. But on Saturdays, it's just a dead day. People are posting pictures of what they're doing, but that's about it.
You're primarily talking about Facebook. And I actually, Facebook's not my favorite social media channel to interact on. I mean, I'm there, you know that, but I'm there less. Really, I enjoy Twitter as my number one social media channel, followed closely by LinkedIn, followed closely by Instagram. And then Facebook is like a distant fourth, right? I just listed my top 3, and then there's a big gap, and then there's Facebook. It's just gotten so and so full of stuff, man. Stuff that just doesn't always appeal to me. So I'm just being honest.
You know what? Is that partially because you're becoming you're friends with people? I don't know how. Well, to me, the Facebook friends thing. I have people connecting with me on Facebook that I don't know. And it's funny too, because they don't even send me a message after they've sent me a friend request. They just friend request me, and then that we're friends now. But the thing is, we'll have like 70, 80 mutual friends at the same time.
Right.
So it's like, okay, well, it's kind of become like a mixed, bowl. You know what I need to do? I need to go and I need to separate out my friends list into like my Disney heads, like as you can see the Disney things going on behind me, and my social networking and all that friends and the podcasting world friends, and then like personal friends and school friends. Like I probably need to sit down, but it's like now it's like, okay, so I have like over 1,600 friends. Like it's going to take me all day, like a whole day of time.
Well, that's
to do that.
You read
like
my mind. I mean, I've thought about doing the same thing because, like you, my friends are segmented across like 4 different areas of my life, and I've thought about doing the same thing so that if I want to post something that's relevant to one cross section of my friends, I can just pick them. But taking the time to do that, I don't think it's going to happen for me.
Yeah, and then you're putting it all, you're giving it up to the Facebook gods, right? You're giving it up to the algorithm that it's even going to resonate with those people. But, I would be interested in trying that. It would be really nice if they added a feature where based upon, at least take some of the work off my hands, right? Say like, hey, this is like target a handful of people that have the most mutual friends with you in a group. So like, hey, my Disney friends, all of my Disney friends are going to have mutual friends and populate that group. And then, some people are going to be left on the fringes or something like that. But at least if they took majority and then like left me with like a handful of people and said, okay, we don't know if these belong in these groups based on the mutual friends that you have. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like I have a couple hundred friends now that are just podcasting friends. Mm-hmm. So if I could just hit like, boom, okay, if I target a couple of key people and then it just builds out the network based around that.
Well, what you're really describing is what Facebook allows you to do in their advertising, right? Where you can build an audience.
Yes.
And then just target your content to that audience based on your budget.
That's very true. I mean, and I know, like, and I'm sure it's on a lot of people's minds as they continue to grow their, people request them on as Facebook friends and stuff like that. Where does it end? Because you only get 5,000 friends, and once you hit that, that's it, right? So you get the followers, but then the followers could be anybody, and based on the algorithm. It's because like we're living in this world where it's like we have a couple of segments of friends that we have under one Facebook account versus if it was say Twitter, you would just have like 4 different Twitter accounts. And when you want to hit those people that are interested in that said topic, you would just go to that specific account and post to that account.
Right.
And it would hit those people.
Right.
So it's, and again, you could do all that in Facebook, but it's the time. And that's what I was saying. If you could just like segment off based on mutual friends and kind of corral people that way would be a huge save time, time save. But I could see why you don't like Facebook. One of the things I love about Facebook is if I post something, people will see that for like days versus Twitter where they might see it for like a minute or 2 minutes.
Well, I don't find that to be as true on Twitter because as I was listening to you, what I was thinking was, if Facebook also allowed you to do what Twitter allows you to do when you're using a tool like a TweetDeck or a Hootsuite where you can set up columns, right? And those columns are going to be made up of either lists or hashtags, right? And so the last point you just made, Joe, you might have tweeted something 3 days ago. And if you're on a list, unless that list is really fast moving, I might see that. If it's slow moving, I'll definitely see that if I'm watching that list. But if it's a really, really fast moving list, then no, I'm not going to see that 3 days ago. I might see it for a few hours, and I love that about Twitter, and it's not in twitter.com, obviously, but it's in something like a TweetDeck or a Hootsuite. If Facebook provided that capability, I would like that. Because then I can I can more easily categorize my friends.
You know, that's true. That's true. I know that stuff it's out there, but the question is, to me, is the right people utilizing it? Like the people that you want to see. I mean, like I personally don't use lists. And every time I tell people that, there's like a handful of people I know that don't use lists. But for the most part, everyone's like, "You don't use lists? That's crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah." I was like, I just don't follow everybody, because a lot of my social media, podcasting, networking friends, they post a lot, like like every minute or every 5 minutes. And what happened is, and I know, and I felt bad, like I'm unfollowing these people, and I'm like, they're just posting these articles over and over and over and over and over again. And I'm like, I can't be a part of that, because it takes me that much longer to actually find people that I want to interact with. To me, Twitter is all about the interaction. I jump on and actually, hold on, here's a perfect example. This Wally came to me because I happened to jump on Twitter. I don't even sit on Twitter all day, but I happened to jump on Twitter, and a friend of mine who made this Carl from the movie Up. So we have Carl, and actually this is a perfect example right here. This is because I happened to find somebody that was, interacting in a conversation, that whole like instant, it's almost like, messaging, like almost like a message board that's happening like super fast. I got this from a lady who lived in Alaska. She made this for me. It's a crochet. I don't know if you can tell that, but yeah. So then she, that was like a year later, this is like a year later. She just happened to post the picture of this on Twitter, that she was at Target and found it for $5. And I said, "Oh my God, do they have any more?" And I was like, "Well, let me run to Target and see if they happen to have it." Well, they didn't. So she boxed it up and, sent one off to me, and I sent her the money for it. But the point is, you can even open the front, and there's like little pieces of trash you can put in here, and it like shoots it out. It's pretty neat. But point is all that was because I happened to be on Twitter at that very minute. Because if it had been 5 or 6 minutes later, never would have seen that picture.
Yeah.
Wally wouldn't be on my desk.
Yeah.
Because it would have went right down my list.
I use Twitter mostly for engaging within the community, the business communities. I don't use Twitter much for fun and personal. It's really, I do, I will admit it, Joe, I do a lot of broadcasting on Twitter. I do a lot of scheduling on Twitter. And the reason is because, and a lot of people know this and also advocate it, where, people, like you said earlier, you tweet something and, people may or may not see it from your following, right? So I will schedule some things as much as 10 or 15 times spread out over a period of 3 to 10 or 12 weeks. And I'll do different times of the day. I'll do 5 o'clock in the morning, middle of the day. I'll do 11 o'clock at night, because I'm on the Eastern time zone, and I know the Pacific time zone has millions of people on it. And 11 o'clock at night, it's only 8 o'clock at night for them. And at 5 o'clock in the morning, even though you may be asleep, people in Europe are not. They're wide awake. They're at the office. They're working. They're in the middle of their morning, Right. So I really leverage Twitter almost 24/7, but 7 days a week. And I do probably 75% of what I do on Twitter. I schedule and automate, and the balance I engage real time based on what I'm seeing.
Mm-hmm. And how many hours a day do you sit on Twitter, would you say? Like, not scheduling, but actually like interacting with people on Twitter.
Well, so I want to make sure that I understand your question. You mean like cumulatively, like at the end of the day, if I was to tally it all up, how much time did I spend on Twitter?
Yeah, like you actually on Twitter, not on like TweetDeck or some scheduling program.
Yeah, well, actually, it's always going to be something like TweetDeck. Or,
okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I meant like Hootsuite.
The exception to that is if I pick up my iPhone, and I open up Twitter, I will open up the Twitter app. And once upon a time, the Twitter app was really bad, but it's gotten pretty good. So I use it now. But on my desktop, over here on the side, so, let me see if I can do this. So there's my big screen, right? My 27-inch screen. So that's where I've got TweetDeck, and because it's 27 inches long, I have it spread out, right? So it's nice and big. So I can be looking at a dozen columns, streams, and I'll skim it, and I'll skim it probably 20 times a day, and it might be for 5 seconds, or something may grab me and I might spend 5 minutes in there, reading and clicking through and responding and that kind of thing. And I'll do that, 20 times a day.
Wow. Okay. All right. So yeah, you definitely use it different than I do.
Like I said, it's my number one channel, or, platform, social platform.
Right. Whereas I'm scrolling down Facebook constantly, to connect with people in there. It's yeah. I have my Twitter following is only like 900 people, but I just don't concentrate on it as much. I have some stuff scheduled. I have I think 2 or 3 posts a day that are scheduled from old blog posts that I did. Right. And it used to be a lot more. It used to be once an hour there was an old blog post going out. But now I just scaled it back because I was it's not. I didn't feel like it was worth because to me it's the people that are on there a lot that I'm friends with that are constantly tweeting. I don't want to bombard them with the people that are following me back. I don't want to bombard them with messages. Just the same as Facebook. I don't want to have a bunch of posts going out constantly on the Facebook because honestly, Facebook will just curtail you, and I've seen that with my own eyes. Having 10 posts a day going versus only having 2 or 3, I get way more reach with the 2 or 3 than I would if I had 10. Basically, it's 1 or 2 people will see each post instead of having 3 where it's 30 or 40 people will see each post.
Right. Right. Yeah.
But it's tough. So what do you with your podcast, how do you leverage social media with that? Obviously if you're going with Twitter as your main stream there. Or what are you doing? Are you doing anything different other than just having your posts scheduled so that they go out when the episodes get launched?
So what I do, Joe, is in addition to scheduling, I'll pick out from each episode 4, 5, 7, 10 different little excerpts, right? Mm-hmm. And so let's just pick the number 10, right? Because it's a nice, round, easy number. So let's say I've got 10 excerpts. And I'm going to schedule it 10 times, do the math. That's 100, in this case, Twitter, 100 tweets that might go out over the span of, say, roughly 2 months. Now, what I do is I front load them, and I'm going to do 2 or 3 of them over 2 or 3 days, and then I start to trail it off a little bit. So it's always a little front loaded so that the most amount of tweets, well, not the most, but more tweets are happening in the first 2 to 3 days of the episode going live because it's a fresh new episode. And then I'll just start to curtail it off a little bit, and I'll spread them apart by 3, 5, 7, 10 days. And then, even further. So, once I get to 3 weeks out, I might schedule the next one 10 days after that, the next one 2 weeks after that. As long as I feel like the content is still evergreen, Mm-hmm. Now, the only thing that I will say, because I know that there's this is a lot of automation. If an unfortunate incident happens, like recently, the Paris terror attacks, when something like that happens, I will go look and see what I've got scheduled, and I will either shut it down entirely or cut or scale it back. Because I don't want to appear insensitive, like I've got a bunch of stuff scheduled, and ignoring what's happening in the world, because, that's not the case. I'm not ignoring what's happening in the world. So, but that's, only when something bad like that happens, which, fortunately doesn't happen all the time. But when it does, I give it some attention.
Now, Over Coffee asked, are you attaching the audio on the tweet or giving a link to it?
Attaching the audio on the tweet. Okay, no. Okay, sorry. I had to understand the question.
Sorry.
Yeah, I'm just including the link to the show notes page, and the show notes page has, the show notes like a blog post, and it has the embedded podcast in the show notes page.
Yep. Yeah. Same way here. That's the way I've always done it. And that's so like when my episodes go out, they go with the show notes, and I actually create a custom tweet that goes out, and it'll have like the @sign for the person that's in it, and maybe one or two hashtags, and
Right.
and usually it's the hashtag How to Dream is definitely in there, so if you type in hashtag How to Dream, because I actually have shirts that say hashtag How to Dream, so you type that into Google or to Twitter or to Facebook, like that's what comes up is
Right.
all that stuff, and it it's a great way of tagging everything, but
Right.
there are some people out there, and I actually there are ways of doing that. What he was asking. You're welcome, by the way. Where you can actually have a play button right in the tweet, and I think SoundCloud is one of them. I know that Audio Boom just came out with a way to do it to share stuff right in Facebook. So you could have your podcast. So it's like you just hit play and boom, it's right there. One of the things that I've done a little bit differently with Birth, our podcast about having our first baby, is I actually create a video file with the image on it, and the audio behind it. So the podcast episode is the audio, and then the image is like a custom made picture that we put together, and that'll get 100, 200, 300 views per episode, where the podcast might only get 100 from on iTunes and from the website. So it's how much is the view? I mean, you're lucky if you get 2-3% past 30 seconds, but you don't know any more or less when you look at your download numbers anyway. You know what I mean? Like when you compare it to, say, Blueberry or Libsyn, or the only one that would be able to tell you is Stitcher. To my knowledge, Stitcher can tell you where people are dropping off in your episodes. But yeah, with Facebook, it'll tell you where they're dropping off. And here's the reason. I fought myself not to go search this out, but apparently Facebook counts anything more than 3 seconds of hovering over even a silent video is counted as a view. Now they do have an actual, there's like the views that they share out, and then there's the like real views, and the real views I think is anything that's over like, I think it was like 35% of the video time or something to that effect. So it's interesting how, and I guess part of it is Facebook wants to seem bigger than they really are themselves. Is that true, Driving Mall? I don't know necessarily about the YouTube videos being watched on silent, but and I guess maybe they show you analytics.
It's interesting that Driving Mall makes that point. By the way, I just moved back a little further away, so I hope you can hear me. And if not, let me know. So one of the things that we started doing a few months ago, and I can't honestly say that it's generating a lot of results, but we've started uploading my podcast into YouTube. So if you go to YouTube and you find my channel, it's Social Business Engine, you'll see that we've got, 15 or so podcast episodes up there. Now, for every podcast episode, we always publish an image of my guest, right? And we produce it really nice with, the name of the person, the title of the episode, that kind of thing. And then we take that image and then we do a few things with it on social, but that's the image we use for the YouTube. So when you click on it, you're just listening to the audio. And the only reason we did it, Joe, is just to see, if people will just click it, let it play in the background, whether while they're doing whatever they're doing, and see what kind of numbers we get. And if you look at it, there's not big numbers on them, but I figure, it doesn't take a lot of time and effort to do it, so we're doing it.
So the other thing that I've done with Living the Dream is it's all based around Disney. So interviewing Disney legends. So one of the things I did was I went around when I was in Disney World and Disneyland as well and shot a bunch of B-roll footage, just like shots of people walking around and the attractions and stuff like that, because I didn't want to go and steal somebody else's video. So I was like, let me go shoot my own video. So I shot my own video. I edited it together into now I have 2-hour-long B-roll shots where it's just like 10 seconds here, 5 seconds there, 2 seconds there, 8 seconds there, over and just chopped all mixed up all over the place. Mm-hmm. And we use that as the background footage for our interviews where we don't do them with video, because some of them we do with video. Like when we're there live, or if the guest is in Florida and I'm in Florida or whatever, we'll have video for that. But it's not been bad. Actually, it's been a little while since I've checked. Let me look in that real quick. I think we have quite a couple hundred views on those. Not on individual, but collectively.
Just on the B-roll.
On the B-roll, yeah. It's for each episode. So let's see, my channel. It's 648 views collectively on this channel. So it's a lot of here you go, 50 views, 43 views, 24 views, 47 views, 26 views, 46 views, 146 views, 10 views on the latest episode, 13 views on the newest episode. So, it does take it took a little bit of extra time to do all that legwork to get it going. But now it's like I have the framework of it. All I got to do is just take the MP3, the edited files, the MP3 files, and lay them down underneath the B-roll footage and upload it. So it takes a little extra time, but mm-hmm. it seems to be worth it. Plus, it gives us another avenue for advertising. So we have sponsors. We had sponsor for the show even before we launched. So it gave us some leverage. We sold the description. So in the description it says check out our sponsor TD Collectibles, and plus there's the video side of it. So it's in the it's in the YouTube, but it's also in the audio when you listen to the podcast on iTunes. See, I post my weekly Periscope intro to my Twitter chat on YouTube and only get single figures though. It's something you just got to stick with it. You got to keep doing it. Nobody gets famous overnight by accident. It takes lots and lots of attempts and video and you just stick with it, man. It's not it's not for the faint of heart, that's for sure.
Yeah. You read my mind.
Let's see. It also needs work as I don't know about editing. Well, I mean, I don't know if driving mall, if you have a Mac or Windows, a PC, but iMovie is really easy. And iMovie, there you go. You have a Mac. So iMovie is really, really easy. In fact, it's not to plug myself, but shameless plug. I do teach a whole course on iMovie in my school. So there's always that. But even without that, you could just go and Google how to use iMovie. Is so, I mean, they've made it more complex over the years. I don't know. Do you use iMovie at all, Bernie?
I played with it. It's funny that you say what you just said about they made it more complex, because I taught myself how to use GarageBand. And I got proficient enough at it, and then I eventually just delegated it to somebody on my team. But I got proficient at it. And then I thought to myself, if I can learn GarageBand, surely I can learn iMovie. So I fired up iMovie for the first time in, a couple of years. And I spent about 15 minutes in there, Joe, and I went, forget this. It's not intuitive.
No, you know what? I liked it better back in 2009. But now that I use it I use almost every day, I use Audacity. I've gotten a lot better at it, and even when doing the school, I had to go and really think the whole process through, because like their step-by-step videos. So like I had to go like, okay, how do I like what steps would you do in what order when you were first getting started and stuff like that. So you know, and some of the stuff I had to relearn myself because like I don't import video that way either. I just click and drag it off, like say from the file to from my desktop to in the iMovie versus like, okay, well, how would I use the importer? Okay, how would I use the importer with my cell phone? Like I take video from my iPhone. How do I use the importer to get it into there and all that stuff? So you know, sometimes it's a learning process. You know, God forbid they ever take the click and drag method away. I really am not a fan of importing my stuff straight from like an SD card or my phone,
right?
Because I like to be in control. But
so I'll share with you, changing topics a little bit. I just ordered some gear, and for the first time, I'm going to be using an XLR mic. Although I mean, I have this mic here, which is an XLR mic,
TR2100,
right?
Yeah.
But it's also a USB mic. But I ordered an XLR mic only. But the big thing is I ordered a mixer along with it.
Okay.
And Joe, I got to tell you, I'm a little afraid because I did it on the same premise of, well, I taught myself how to use GarageBand, right? So I'll teach myself how to use a mixer. And I'm kind of, dreading the hours I have in front of me of trying to figure it out. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, which mixer did you get?
I knew you were going to ask me that.
Is it from Yamaha?
No.
No, you didn't go with the Yamaha. Okay.
Let me see if I can find it.
We had I had helped I don't know if you know Esther Kish out with her mixer. She had gotten a Yamaha I think it was like a MG10X or 102X or something like that. And man, I mean I've eventually helped her figure it all out, but man, they did not make it like if you especially considering I was helping her through video chat, they did not make it easy because she was using the is your mixer USB?
Is it what?
Is your mixer like a USB mixer? Like, do you actually have the mixer in front of you, or you
No. I just ordered it literally over the weekend. It hasn't even arrived yet. Yeah, so I don't even remember the brand. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
It's I don't even remember. I just did a quick search and I know it's not Behringer or it's total new territory for me. So even like the common names are not common to me, So
there's a Mackie
new territory.
I'm trying to think of what other ones you might have been. But so you don't know if it's a USB one, like it'll plug USB. It should, or else you're going to need an audio interface as well.
Yeah, and I am going to have the audio interface because I'm going to be using the my X4 or Zune, whatever that thing is called.
You're going to plug that USB into your computer?
No, not the USB. My X4 and Zune thing.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's a voice recorder. It's
yeah.
I have a similar one from Tascam or Roll. No, Tascam. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. I'm getting there. I'm getting there. Here we go. It's the Mackie.
Okay, Mackie.
Let's see here. A Mackie, it's got a long number, 1402 VL Z4, 14-channel compact mixer.
VLZ3.
So,
wow, are you planning on having like a lot of mics hooked up to it?
Possibly, yes. I want to have the flexibility So one of the things that I have done on several occasions, Joe, is I will do an interview at a conference on location somewhere. And so I've been doing it with, this little guy where I have two of these, right? One for me, one for my guest. Well, I'm starting to do panel sessions and I've been doing more events. So what if I'm sitting down at an event with 4 or 5 people?
You're gonna want. I mean, that's a big mixer to be lugging around. But if you're playing, as long as you're playing, it's not one of those things you're gonna be like, oh, let me just pull out my, thing that just happens to be like this big and
Right.
fits every,
Yeah.
all applications.
I hear you. And certainly that is the exception because you can come on Blab and you can have 4 people, right?
Right.
And do it for. But then the other thing is, I want the flexibility. I don't want to outgrow something, so I did a little bit of the roll the dice on it, and I didn't want to, spend 50% of the price point and then outgrow it in a year. I have made that mistake many, many times over in all kinds of categories, from home appliances to vehicles to homes, to equipment. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so it's not like I spent thousands of dollars. So instead of, spending $100, I spent $400, not $1,000, but $400 on something that I probably am not going to outgrow for some time.
Yeah, I would say that you're not. The only problem with this is there is no USB output from this mixer. So when you record, do you record when you're recording, I'm assuming you do over Skype. Do you record over Skype at all?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I guess as long as you're not planning on because when it's just you at your computer, you could just use your ATR 2100, right?
Right.
Are you planning on not?
Except I've never really been satisfied with the quality of that.
Really?
Yeah.
I love my ATR, and when I go on the road, I mean I don't take.
Well, the only time, let me qualify that, Joe. I'm not satisfied with it when I'm recording USB over USB to Skype or over Skype to USB. Okay. I'm okay with it. I'm very okay with it when I'm plugging it into my recorder, my audio recorder, direct through XLR cable, and I'm recording that way into my recorder. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah,
Not
it is a
USB.
different sound. Okay, so were you planning on using your ATR 2100 at home XLR into your computer?
No, I got a new Heil PR40 mic.
Oh, sweet. Okay, that's cool. But you're still gonna need an interface to get that into your computer. Unless you could technically get adapter wires. So you could go from, let's see, you could use your alt output, balanced, unbalanced. You're not looking at what I'm looking at, but I'm looking at the back of the mixer that you're getting. What you could do is use those alt outputs. And I'm not sure. I'd have to look on the mixer to see how you specifically control that alt output. But
the way that I think I'm going to do it, and I say I think, okay, just based on the research that I did, is those outputs that you're looking at on the back, those are going to connect to my recorder, my XR. I always forget the stupid name.
The Zoom H4 is all you got to say.
The H4. So those will connect into my Zune H4. Now, the only thing I'm still a little unclear on is how I'm going to get the person on Skype. So let's say you're calling me on Skype. I'm still not clear on how I'm getting your audio coming in through Skype onto my recorder.
So what you're going to do is you got to get you're going to get an adapter. It's a 3.5 millimeter adapter that goes from your output, your sound output. So it's like where you put your headphone jack into, right? to go into your mixer, and it's going to go to quarter inch jacks. So let me pull up on Amazon. I'll send you a link over here. So 3.5 millimeter to quarter inch. Come on. Here we go. So it's about $398 for a 10-foot cable.
So Driving Mall, you're okay. Yeah, there's your link.
So that'll go into your. And I really wish they would get on this whole like screen sharing thing for Blab. It'd be really helpful. So that's going to go right into one like two of your. You can use two channels, or you could use.
I may have that.
Oh, your 7/8 channel would work fine. So you would plug that into your 7/8 channel, and then from there you would be able to plug your headphones into the headphone jack on the mixer, and then that's where you would output to your whatchamacallit, to your H4.
H4n.
Yep. Yeah, so that's how that would work, and that would work because you wouldn't require you to get a interface. Now, are you using a laptop or a?
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, do you take your laptop off your desk a lot?
Take it with me anywhere I go when I travel. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Well, I didn't know if you like, hey, I'm going to go do some work in the living room and then go, to the bathroom with my laptop or something to that effect. Because the only thing you want to do is I don't know if you normally use headphones.
When I'm recording, yes, because I'm recording through Skype and I'm connecting through my microphone, which is what Driving Mall had asked is, what's a good microphone to use. And you and I were talking about, the ATR 2100, and there's another model that's a little bit newer than the 2100 that I've read good reviews on. So what I've been doing is, here's my ATR 2100, and I've just been using my iPhone earbuds. It just connects into here, mm-hmm. And then if you call me on Skype, I'm now listening to you through my earbuds,
right?
So
right.
that I'm talking into my microphone, which I'm not using right now on Blab. But on a Skype call that I'm recording, and then I'm listening through my earbuds. Okay. But with my new little setup here, I did also buy a pair of headphones. Just because I figure, it's a new year coming up, so I'm going to do things a little bit differently in the new year. I always do something a little different in the new year, whatever it may be in some aspect of my life. I just choose to do something a little different.
No, I don't blame you. As long as you have because your mixer is going to require your headphones to be on a 1/4 inch jack. So I don't know do you know what headphones you bought?
They're Audio-Technica that I know.
Okay. All right. They probably will come with a 1/4 inch adapter. If not, you can get something like, well, this is a 5-pack, but just because it came up on Amazon real quick. It's an adapter, so you can plug like even your little headphone jack or your little headphones into that jack, and then plug that right into your mixer. So as long as the headphones you ordered come with that, you should be good. I see CL Previtt. He said he has a Focusrite Scarlett. I have a Scarlett actually. I think it's a 2i4 or a 4i2 or something like that upstairs. The problem that I ran into with that was, and why I actually ended up getting an OpenBox Akai EIE, was because when I tried to use my Scarlett on Skype, it was coming through really jarbled and it just was not working properly. Now that was a couple years ago. So I at the time I was like, oh, I need something. So let me just because I was just trying to go with what I had. So that's why I ended up getting the Yeti, and I used the Yeti for like a year before I ended up before I ended up saying, okay, I need something for recording that also works with Skype for my output, because that wasn't coming through properly either. That's when I saw the EIE was open box, picked that up. Now, I wouldn't recommend the EIE unless you could get it really cheap, because of the fact that the EIE is nice. It offers a ton of features. It handles the SM7B really, really well. But I wouldn't recommend it because of the fact that it is pretty old at this point. And like, it has a USB hub on the back end of it, but it's a USB 1.1. So, USB 2.0 has been out forever, and USB 3.0 has already been out for a handful of years. So it still runs like $200. So the EIE Pro comes with USB 2.0. But either way, it's still a solid pickup, but it is $200. So it's pretty pricey versus the Scarlett. But yeah, you should actually be good if you hook it up like that, like with the cables that I sent over to you. You should be good. Just make sure you have your knobs, and if you need any help, Bernie, shoot me a message. I know you're not on Facebook, but you are on Twitter.
Yeah, so no, but I know how to find you, Joe.
yes. Please just shoot me a message. I mean, I do this stuff all day long. This is what I do. So yeah, congratulations on the new mixer. I hope that it works out, and I think that it's going to do really well for you when you have. Now, what are you going to do for other microphones?
That's a good question. I mean, I'm not going to throw away my two ATR 2100s. So, and those are XLR microphones. So I think one simple solution is I can continue to use those. Mm-hmm.
Because, I didn't know if because you were saying like as your panels get bigger, you might want to have more.
Yeah, and I mean, if I know I'm going to be doing a panel with 5 people or anything more than the 3 of us together, then I'll have to prepare myself and go scramble and pick up a few more mics, right?
Yeah.
So for now, it's just I'll have everything. It's evolutionary, right? You grow little by little.
Yeah. I actually, there's an Audio-Technica mic that I picked up. I was at Guitar Center down in Florida, and I needed some mics because I was hosting this conference right here, the Mid-Atlantic Podcast Conference that happened back in September. And I can't think. Hold on one second. Let me almost rip my headphones out.
I'm really surprised that nobody else has jumped into one of the open seats here. So I guess everybody else is shy, and I'm going to have to run in like 8 minutes. So either Joe's going to shut it down, or one of you guys are going to jump on.
All right, I found it. It's the Audio-Technica M8000, and at the time when I was there, it was on sale for $20 a microphone.
Wow.
And when I looked it up online, and right now, actually, even on Amazon right now, it's $80. But I picked up 2, or I think 2. I picked up 2 of them for.
Is it XLR?
XLR only. There's no switch on it, but it's a fantastic microphone. And when I was looking up the reviews, because I was like, oh, this must be like a junk microphone. It's they're just trying to clear out stuff or whatever. When I looked it up online, people were saying that it rivaled the other microphone that I'm a big proponent of is the Audix OM2 microphone. The problem with the OM2 is if I'm using it, I know how to use it properly. When I hand it to other people, they don't know how to, because it's a very, like, you need to be like, because it's meant for like DJs and live performances and stuff. Yeah. So you got to be like right up on it to use it. With this, it gives you a good buffer. So if they hold it like most people would hold a microphone, it's going to sound a million times better than them holding the OM2 like this. But the sound quality, phenomenal. And right, like I said, on Amazon right now, it's $80, but it definitely can be a lot cheaper because I bought them for $20 in down in Florida at Guitar Center. So
Nice.
I'd be on the lookout for that. Phenomenal mic for the price.
Cool.
But
Cool.
but yeah, obviously grow as grow as you need, and I wouldn't go crazy on spending tons of money on a microphone, but at the same time, you do want a good microphone, because if you have 8 people all standing around each other, you want it to be as isolated as possible.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'm still planning on going back to podcast movement. I was going to say this year in 2016 in July.
Almost.
So that could possibly be a good little experiment, right? We get together, get a group of guys and gals, and sit around with our microphones and do a little recording, right? And then see how that turns out.
Yeah. The only thing is again, with a mixer that big, it's hard to show up. I know what a lot of people have done is the H6 from Zoom allows you to have up to, if you buy the expansion pack on it, because it's 4 XLR ports. With the expansion pack on top, it gives you 6 XLR ports. So right there, like, you could have 6 people each with their own microphone, recording right there, and getting. I don't know if it would do its own channel per se. I'm not sure how that would pan out, but probably. I don't know. With that many, I would hope it would. You're saying, let's see, Over Coffee was saying that the Sony ECM S907.
Yeah, I don't know it. I mean, there's so much gear out there. I'm not a gearhead, as you can tell by the questions I was asking. I couldn't even remember the name of the Mackie mixer I just bought.
That was a really long name for that Mackie mixer, though.
I know. Well, the model number is a long one, but it's a Mackie. At the end of the day, it's a Mackie. And it was just something that was recommended. I read the reviews and okay, I'll give it a shot.
Let's see. I'm curious because this has a like a headphone jack on the end of it. Let's see. Could I plug this into my Dell laptop? No, this is not compatible with the PC mic jack. This mic is designed to be plugged into a stereo mic jack. Your PC's mic jack is mono, and PC mic jacks and PC mics have 3 contacts. Like this one has 1. This is not so. That's interesting. I've run into all kinds of problems with trying to get microphones to plug into my let me show my setup. It's right over on the side here. So to get it into my video camera, right there, certain mics just seem to work and some don't. Like I just recently bought the Rode, what's it called? The Rode. I have it. Yeah, it's over there somewhere. But I can pull it up. It's a little Lavier, the SmartLav Plus mic, based off of Daniel J. Lewis's recommendation. And I thought I even bought the adapter to go down from the three contact down to the 1 contact, or down to 2, and it wouldn't accept sound into my camera. But oddly enough, everyone goes on and on about how this microphone needs to have a preamp and all that stuff. But I have some XLR cable to headphone jack, to standard headphone two. I can't even think. 2-pin headphone jack, and I was able to plug in 2 SM7Bs and plug them right into my camera, and it worked flawlessly. Now it only recorded mono, and I had to dub over make the duplicate the track to make it stereo, but it worked just fine. And this is a microphone that everyone's like, you got to have a $300 preamp or $400, $1,000 preamp, and it's mine's plugged right into the EIE that I have here, and it works just fine. In fact, I bought a preamp with it and ended up returning it because I couldn't get the preamp to work properly. All it did was distort everything for some, I don't know. I played with it for over an hour before I was like, let me just try plugging it in straight. And then it worked just fine. I was like, oh, well, that goes against everything I've read online. I don't understand.
Wow.
So sometimes you got to try the last thing you try is the best.
Yeah.
It's like wherever your keys or the remote are hidden, it's always the last place you check. But yeah, man, that's exciting. When do you expect to get your stuff in?
Should be by this weekend. So,
Oh, sweet. Wait,
yeah. So I'm not sure how quickly I'll get a chance to actually tackle it all. But between now and the end of the month, I'm sure I'll be able to carve out. I mean, it's going to have to be a weekend for me because during the week I'm just kind of heads down. Back in my intro, I mentioned that I've got an agency going, and so between the agency and the podcast, in terms of day to day, it's hard for me to do things during the day. So it'll probably be a weekend project for me here.
Yeah, no, hey, that's understandable. It's fun to get to sit down and play with toys, especially if you have the time to make that kind of time for that stuff.
Yeah.
But
anyway, Joe, I need to run. You've got a few other people here that might join you if you're going to keep
hopefully
going.
Somebody else wants to jump in. You're welcome to jump in. We're talking podcasting and blogging. Bernie, before you jump off, please let everyone know where they can find you again, please.
Sure. So again, this is Bernie Borges. My podcast is the Social Business Engine Podcast, and at Bernie Borges and on Twitter and just about anywhere you have an social media handle.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for joining us, Bernie. And
Thanks, Joe.
I'm sure I'll be talking to you soon.
And congratulations again on the baby and just everything you have going on. It's always a lot of fun.
Appreciate it, man.
All right. See ya.
Take care. Have a great night.
You too.
So yeah, if anybody wants to jump in, just hit that little, I think it's the call in button. Plenty to talk about when it comes to podcasting, online business, blogging. We were talking a lot about gear earlier, which was a lot of fun. I obviously love gear, have it all around me. You can't see it in this small box, but it's here. Oh, that sucks that you're at work, man. Sorry to hear that. But at least you're getting to listen. So that's something, right? So one of the things that I've been working on with especially with this show, not just this show, but the Your Dream platform, school and show and Let's Talk, is really helping people like get through all the crap that gets thrown around when it comes to like big numbers and just a lot of it's the whole faking it till you make it type thing, and it's it really gets under my skin when I see that kind of stuff. I've been known to call some people out on that whole aspect of the game. But me personally, I live, breathe, and eat the stuff all day, every day. As I was saying earlier, I don't know if you guys were in here or not, but one of the saddest days for me is on like the weekends when social media is a lot slower than it is during the week. So it's definitely plays a big part into everything that I do, from running Facebook ads to producing content 4 to 5 days out of the week, and I just love serving and helping. So all right, so driving mall, how do you monetize? Well, it depends on what you're looking to do, right? When we're talking about building a platform, there is countless ways to monetize. It's not just about sponsorships, though. You can do sponsorships. It's great. And if you do, there's 2 ways to do it. There's affiliate links, which if it's great if you have a niche audience and you can serve that niche audience well with what you're presenting them with, right? Because otherwise all you're doing at the end of the day with an affiliate link is you're getting the name of the company out that's not paying you unless you make a sale for them. So the other half of it is you could get you can get contracts with sponsorships. That's another way of going about it. And really at that point, if you don't have a super huge following and all that stuff, the best way to go about doing it is to niche as much down as you can, then figure out who to who to target with that niche. Oh, how do I do it? Well, I do it from another different. I'll get there. I'll get there. Because that is with Living the Dream. That's what we do. We have 2 sponsors. We're bringing in around $350 a month across, for that show alone, with 2 sponsors currently. And excuse me a second here. And it's great. It's a great way to bring in some extra money. The other ways to do it, the other ways that I do it is I have books. I've written 2 books in 1 year. That has residual income coming in from Amazon. As my reach and expanse gets bigger, so do my book sales. Last month was $30. I didn't even have to do anything for that. I mean, I wrote the books, but now it's just like, hey, as I continue to do my thing, more people continue to find out about my work, and more people continue to say, oh, Joe has a book. I want to read about that. I want to read that book. And it's there for sale without me having to do anything. The other ways are I do speaking. I do school assemblies where I teach kids how to dream. So if you go to howtodream.co, excuse me, you can get all of the all the episodes. And basically what I've done is I've leveraged these interviews with people who live their dreams into talks, into these assemblies to teach other people how to go about living their dreams. And I mean, I've done the same thing. I mean, I don't do some of the cool things that my guests do, where like traveling all over the world or like curing cancer or something like that. But, like me, my whole thing was I left a $20 million a year family enterprise of 5 companies total. So $20 million a year to just do anything that wasn't involved with with my family's business. I mean, you can see the hats. You can't really tell, see the logos on them, but those hats are from that company, or from the main company of the hub of that enterprise, which was sold about a year ago, or not even a year ago. But anyway, so that's that's another way that I leverage it. The other ways that I bring in income is I do consulting, because since I do this stuff I've been doing this for I've been doing this side of it for a year and a half, but I've been building websites since '97. So I was a geek growing up doing computers and stuff like that, just to play computer games and all that. So I leverage all that into what I do now. The other way is I have a school where I teach people how to build their own platforms and monetize it. And not just monetize it. I mean, I'm just getting started with that part of it, of the school. So I just launched it in early November. And so far, I think we have 6 or 7 people in the group that are students. And right now, the base product is to show you how to do video, how to do a podcast, and do a blog. And that course starts at it's $160 for a lifetime membership. No problem, man. I totally understand if you have to pop out. The other but as the school continues to grow, I'm putting in more content and building more courses. And of course, yeah, you should be able to just hit join a seat, or I think it was call in. The seat's definitely open, so you should be able to just click on the block. So continuing what I was saying, but the other way is I've parlayed everything I've done into my conference. We had 40 people show up to the conference in the beginning. At the middle of September was the first annual conference, and we'll be doing meetups before the next one in next September here right in South Jersey. Oh, excuse me, right outside of Philadelphia. So there's tons and tons of ways to go about making money at this. This is not, you just start up a podcast and it'll be great and you'll get sponsorships and you'll do affiliate links and you can leverage those affiliate links, but you need a ton of people, a ton of traffic, a ton of audience. And I don't think that you need that huge, audience in order to make all that come together necessarily. What's going on, man?
Hey, good. Thanks. Just changing, moving to the other side of the building. So I thought I'd probably drop off as I changed Wi-Fi networks.
I hope I answered your question a little bit there.
Yeah, no, interesting. It's the so it sounds like the speaking engagements and the conference are the main things, and you're building up the other pieces as well. That's really it's interesting because it's kind of. Yeah, I'm trying to live the dream. Let's be honest. So I currently have a blog called drivingmall.com, which is about rugby, and I also run a Twitter chat weekly as well. So those are the two things that I predominantly do. So I found that growing on, I've got up to about 13,000 followers on Twitter, so I'm getting there. But Facebook, I've just found really hard to break into.
And it's definitely hard.
And so I'm up to about sort of 13,000 views on the blog a month.
Wow.
And I say and the Twitter chat gets a reach for about sort of over 2 million reach. So I'm growing the community. And it's going to be a matter of how I kind of sort of take it to the next level and actually start to create income out of it.
No, dude, that's phenomenal. But you now you have to figure out how are you going to turn all that into money, right?
Yep.
Right. So okay, so let me make sure I understand. Is your blog is about rugby in general, or is it about a specific team?
So I do predictions and reviews for do you know anything about rugby or professional rugby?
No, not. I mean, I'm in the States. Okay, I'm assuming you're not.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm in New Zealand. So
that's awesome. I wouldn't have guessed New Zealand. I do know a little bit about Australian football, though.
The AFL.
I love Australia, but they play that stuff at like 1 a.m. in the morning here in the States, and I love it. I love the symbols and stuff of the refs are hilarious. The stadiums are amazing. How big they are, that's awesome.
Oh, they're nuts. Yeah. What Melbourne Cricket Ground, which where they play, is 110,000, and they fill it. But anyway, so I do predictions and reviews for the English League, European competition, and Super Rugby, which is the Southern Hemisphere, so New Zealand, Australia, South Africa. And then I also do features and also opinion pieces. But most of the traffic is for the predictions and the reviews, but they're not betting predictions. They're for like a bit of that fantasy football kind of style, so for fun. And for fun and discussion, not for. I'm not a gambling. A gambling person, but I do have some professional gamblers who follow me.
I'm sure. Hey, they need every bit they can get, man.
So I write about the leagues, and then I run a Twitter chat. I'd say on every Tuesday for an hour, which again reviews, talks about the hot topics, and also talks about the kind of the action from the previous week. So I don't have anyone to interview. I just throw questions out there and people just answer them and we chat away. So it's not perhaps the traditional Twitter chats that you kind of get.
Nah, man. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
And I'd like to break into the sort of video piece, video / podcasting, but it's a matter of trying to fit that in around work and all the rest of the stuff I'm doing.
And keeping what you have going. Yeah, video is definitely it can be a beast to handle. It adds another layer. I mean, once you get good at it and you kind of like have your basic layout, you could produce episodes pretty quickly. it's a matter of getting the, I don't know, do you live in like an apartment or do you have a house where you could like set up lighting and stuff like that, where it's like you could just hit the on and record button, blah, 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 and then you take it, upload, fit it into your, like, here's our intro, here's our outro, boom, this is the information. And then it all adds time to it, but there's lots of things you can do to make it as quick and painless as possible.
I have a house, but I also have 2 kids. Oh. So, so anything I set up will get trashed. Currently most of it I just do on the phone. It's just using an iPhone. Interestingly enough, I bumped into someone today on Blab who suggested doing a rugby Blab, which would be fun to do. So I'll see if I can kick that off with her, give it a go, and see how that goes. Because then they give you the video file and the audio file, so you can just, even if you just put the video file straight on YouTube, you can do. But it would be good to have an intro, an outro showing sort of, hey, get in touch with these places, kind of thing.
Yeah. And depending how long your episodes are, you don't want to make them too long or, too long either. Sometimes it's like, oh man, the show's only like 2 minutes long, but your intro is like 35 seconds. It's like, well, that's a long time for somebody to sit through to get to like the content. So you had to find a good balance of that, and that takes time as well, trying to figure out what you're gonna do. But as far as making money off of that, that's a pretty huge following there, and that's one of the things. Like when people ask me, like, "Oh, should I niche down or should I generalize?" What I say is, it depends on what you're trying to accomplish, right? Like in your case, you're not super niche where it's about one team, but you're niche in the sense that you can grow that audience pretty quickly because of the fact that you're talking about something that people already care about. You are using the brand recognition. The downside to that is that there's other people that can come in and use that same brand recognition of rugby. You know what I mean? So it's like it's tough. You're already doing that your part in the sense that you're already like you got the star power there. You already have people behind you. Versus like if I wanted to come in and talk about rugby, regardless of the fact I don't know anything about rugby, the point is I'd be competing with somebody like you where I'd have to outshine you to get people to follow me. Versus if it's something unique where it's like, hey, this is the Joe Pardo show. It's all about Joe Pardo and my life. It's going to be a lot longer, slower road to go because I don't have that brand recognition of like something people already care about. Nobody cares about Joe. They have to learn to care about Joe. You know what I mean?
But because people care about it, there's already people there and the competition's high.
So there's a lot of competition for work in your field?
Oh, God, yeah. There's all the national newspapers, the TV, ESPN, Sky, etc., have all the websites churning out rugby content. The number of because it's free to blog, the number of bloggers I could probably name 20 or 30 bloggers without even thinking about it. Never mind going away and finding some who all produce content. There's at least 2 or 3 that I know who kind of are constantly going, please produce content for us and we'll give you exposure and not pay you. It's like, yes, okay, thanks. And so there's a lot of people playing that game as well. And I don't want to do that because, if I can make an income and pay someone, I will. I'm happy to pay someone to come and produce content for me, but I don't want to be living off someone else's effort and work. I don't think that's fair. And, hey, maybe it'll slow me down and maybe I could make money that way, but there's morals and stuff as well you got to live with yourself. So, so I don't want to go down that kind of route that I've seen others do. So no, there is lots of competition, and getting heard above the noise is kind of difficult, and that's a lot of the effort.
The other problem that you could run into is when you start upping your game with video, like you're stepping into a realm where there's other people doing video probably better than you are. You know what I mean? Like they had the better intros. They have the cool graphics that are running everywhere, and they probably also have a whole bunch of people that are working with them to make all that happen. Like very few people would have the skill set and the time to make all that happen and look super professional and all that. So it's very I've never heard any New Zealand birds before until now. That's very cool to be on the other side of the planet and hearing birds. Or is that just all your Twitter followers chirping?
That's my so much.
They just follow you. You just hire birds to stand behind you, and sounds like a commercial.
I am the tweeting king. Yes.
So when I think about what you're doing, I mean, I would look for paid sponsorships. I would look at whoever you could work with that would be interested in rugby. I mean, is rugby like do they play in like the high schools, like the secondary schools there, like they do say here in high school, like football here in the States?
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's those. Well, my daughter's 6. Chatting to some parents at Touch Rugby, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're thinking about taking our kid to Touch Rugby on a Friday." So they start at the age of like 5 or 6 and go all the way through.
Do they wear helmets at that age?
No, and one of the big things is that helmets tend to increase concussion rather than save them, because people feel protected and put themselves in the It stops head scrapes, it stops other things, but concussion is one thing it doesn't do.
So you're saying we should go back to the leather football helmets?
Yep, absolutely.
Where it would stop the scrapes and the deep cuts or whatever, but it's not going to actually protect or give any false hope of protection.
Yep, that way the people will get their heads out the way. But so yes, no, there is a lot of that. I hear what you're saying around the video side of things. Yeah, there is people that the quality's there. So I have 5 kind of income streams in my head that I'm trying to do. So one is sort of the is ads. So I currently use WordPress.com, but I'll go self-hosting at some point and use AdSense, I guess. Next one is, as you say, is potentially commissioned pieces. So, for example, in the States, Pro Rugby is about to kick off next year, which will be a professional league.
Really?
Now they know they're not going to break mainstream media, so they need to use alternative media to get the word out there. So, hello, I have X thousand followers. I can do similar pieces that would fit seamlessly because that's what I already do for other leagues, and give you exposure to those people. So that's my kind of sales pitch to them. Sponsorship for, and I'm also trying it for the Japanese league, but I haven't got anywhere yet. Sponsorship for Rugby Chat. So hopefully a brand that's already with rugby that just wants to increase its kind of community out there. Ebooks, which I'm trying to do ebooks of articles I've written. So compilation things. I'm not sure, it hasn't worked so far. What was the final one? I've gone blank now. Oh yeah, have you heard of Patreon?
Yeah, you could use Patreon.
And I was going to try Patreon as well. So that's my 5 income streams that in my head, in my plan to go for.
I was just looking up this prorugby.org, and
that's
it says venues will be announced soon, and I see Sacramento and San Francisco.
Yep.
And then there's number 3 with 2 question marks next to it. Does that mean I should probably go and take out a loan and start up a rugby team?
No, they're all going to be centrally owned. But anyway, they're going to do. It's going to be Denver, New York, Philly, and
Philly's getting a rugby
Salt
team?
Lake. Yep.
Oh snap! I can't wait. I'll go to a rugby game, or at least
so there you go.
TV. I mean, it looks interesting.
So Denver, Philly, New York. Pretty much everyone who's everyone's saying those are the 3 it'll be, and then the Salt Lake is the because it was supposed to be one in Canada, but it fell through.
Well, hey, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that. But to get back on topic of the whole 5 revenue streams, no, I love the idea. You write content that's evergreen enough for in the rugby side of things that you could produce a book that would not be about this week's matchup.
So the features and the opinion pieces. So the Rugby World Cup just finished. So I want to drag the sort of 8 or 10 feature articles I did there together, and that'll be evergreen enough till next Rugby World Cup because and that's every 4 years. So people like to look back and remember what's happened there. But I guess the thing is that it's not new content; it's available free on my website anyway. So it's got to be priced pretty low.
Okay.
That's the problem with rugby, is that it's unlike sort of how do you do social media. It doesn't have the same shelf life.
Right. So one of the things I would also be thinking about, to me, I think that real quick, going back to the video side of things, to me, I would keep the video low quality just so people don't expect much. Right, like you said, like you have 2 kids, so they would tear apart like a lighting kit. Like I have a lighting kit in front of me with my video camera and stuff set up. But I would keep it low quality, because if it's low, then the expectation isn't there, right? As soon as you start like, hey, I got great video and I'm doing some things with like rolling text or graphics or something like that, it's gonna be like, oh, well, why don't you have what this guy, the other guy has? To me, I would keep the expectation low, and it's like, hey, it also looks more guerrilla style, right? So like underground, and you're like, look, this is what I'm doing, and it's not professional because I'm not ESPN. So I would definitely play off of that if I was you. And I mean, to me, sponsorships. I mean, obviously there's equipment companies. Maybe find some smaller equipment companies. Find some startups that are looking to get exposure in the rugby space. If it's there's definitely smaller companies that are out there that are supplying. Maybe look for accessory items. Accessory item companies that are up and coming, rather than trying to go to the big guys right out of the box. I mean, you have a huge audience, but the other thing I would be weary of is, did you say you have you don't have a podcast, but you use your video from your I do. So I use Periscope to do like a 10-15 minute intro to the Twitter chat saying, hey, this is what we're going to talk about. This is what happened over the weekend. Blah blah blah. It's not very structured because I generally am running, having just put the kids to bed, running and just trying to squeeze it in. And it's something I'm using it partially just to get comfortable in front of the camera and getting used to talking as a kind of practice more than anything else at the moment. So I would be so since it is time sensitive, right? I mean, am I correct in saying that it's time sensitive stuff? Yep. So then, I wouldn't be too worried about sponsorships, because sometimes what happens with like evergreen content is they'll pay you. Oh, well, yeah, we'll give you like $5,000 for the year, and you'll be like, yay, cha-ching, $5,000, and then in that evergreen content, those ads never go away, and you keep getting bigger, and those old videos keep getting more views that they only paid $5,000 dollars for up front. So that sometimes you have to be a little leery of that. But in your case, like if you had a sponsor, like let's just take do they tape themselves up in rugby? Like they use like that?
Yep.
Like okay, so maybe if you find like a tape company that's up and coming, or a smaller one, and you're like, hey, I'll do I'll mention your stuff in my Periscope. But in order to get the secret to get more money there is, don't just offer that one stream. Offer a bundle pack with tweets and blog posts and banners on your website. And well, I mean, you can't technically do banners right now because you're on WordPress, right?
Yep.
Right. So get off of WordPress.com. Get yourself a host. I love DreamHost. I do have an affiliate link on my website that gives 46% off for the first year. But regardless, get yourself a host. And leverage that. If you leverage every piece of what you have, now you're talking about thousands of dollars for less time versus like, oh, well, I'll mention it for 6 months, and you're doing this. How often do you do your Twitter chats? Once a week or a couple times?
Yep, once a week.
Once a week. Yeah. So you want to leverage everything you get, everything you got, every bit of audience that you have to get as much money as you can in the shortest amount of time. The reason you want short is because you want that contract to turn over so you can ask for more money once they've seen the return. Don't lock yourself in for too long because then you'll be kicking yourself later down the road. And then obviously this is only one revenue stream. And you obviously understand that having 5 revenue streams is amazing. Which is good because a lot of people are like, oh, I'll just have sponsors and, I'll make 3, 4, 5, 6 grand a month and it'll be, I don't know what that is in New Zealand dollars, but speaking of which, your prime minister is hilarious. John Oliver has been he played it. He was on like a morning radio show like a couple months ago. It was hilarious. I wish our politicians were as funny. I mean, right now Donald Trump is not really a politician, but I wish our real politicians were as funny as your prime minister, because his answer.
Well, I'm actually English, even though I live out here. But my wife is embarrassed by him. She's like, this guy is representing us globally. Oh my God, how embarrassing!
Or the flag.
Playing with
the flag. Oh, I forgot all about the flag. I love, dude. Some of the flags that got canned and didn't get picked was hilarious. The kiwi with laser eyes. Why would you not pick that? Oh my God. And if you, for anybody who doesn't know, look up John Oliver and type in New Zealand flag, and I'm going to type it in right now to make sure I'm not. John Oliver, yeah, it comes right up. You just watch any of the stuff with New Zealand. The New Zealand flag was the first one that came up for me, but hilarious.
He did.
And the thing is that nobody cared about the flag. When they asked people on the street, they were like, I don't really care. Just stop making the flag look like whoever's flag it would look like. Was it Australia's flag?
It's very similar to Australia flag. Yeah, Australia's got white stars and New Zealand's got red stars, and that's, I think, there's one star difference. It's yeah. But a lot of people see it as being a waste of money, and you've got a small minority, you've got a small group that are very obviously very feel very, very strongly about it, and hey, it's. Yeah, let's ignore the fact that everyone's going hungry and we have poverty and stuff. Let's just change the flag, and that'll keep the news people happy.
Yes. Let us do that. But yeah.
Now we've moved on to politics.
But this is the lighter side of politics. International politics at that. Yeah. So leverage everything that you got, man, and do it to get the most amount that you can get out of it. And give them the most value. Obviously, you want repeat customers. And by customers, I mean sponsorships. Don't do affiliate if you don't have to. Absolute last opportunity. You know where affiliates work. Affiliates are great when you can just put it up on your website. You could put a link to Amazon. I assume you have Amazon out there, right? It's like Amazon.nz or something. Amazon links are great. You get a little percentage. You don't have to do a lot of work for it, and it's always there, right? And people get the cheapest price. Everybody wins. But when it comes to hardcore, like I'm putting banners on my website, I'm doing mentioning it on the Periscope. Do everything you can to get the most out.
I was thinking about doing like 5 novelty Christmas gifts as a kind of post, just for a bit of fun, and see if anyone clicks on it for Amazon. And I thought maybe doing book reviews would be good at some point, but it just takes so long to read the book and write it up. that I've not had, that I'd have to go full time to do that. But
and you wouldn't make enough money for it to matter, to necessarily matter. So you know what you can do?
Probably true.
I mean, maybe, take other people's reviews into account and kind of skim the book a little bit. I don't know. Or don't call it the best 5 books. Just say, and I don't want you to lie, obviously, but, use some other flowery language. Like, here's 5 awesome books in no particular order about rugby, and go from there. I don't want you to lie. I don't like lying. I like to be truthful, but at the same time, you're right. It takes a lot of time to read a book, and you got 2 kids and a job. You ain't got time for that. Nobody got time for that. To quote,
of course. So that's what I should be doing. Yeah, 5 summer reads, 5 rugby summer reads, and then just
There you go.
Yeah,
and just see what happens. You might be surprised. It might be able to bring in a little bit of money, and you at least, if you could see the effectiveness of it. And I guess, I would assume going into Christmas, you're going to get a lot out of it. So it's not a bad way to go. By the way, is rugby a summer sport?
No. But it's going to be played in your summer.
Oh,
yeah, so it's July, because it's April through to July, isn't it? It's going to be the league in the States. No, it's a winter sport.
But it'll be summer here, which makes sense because they don't want to compete with football. Nobody wants to compete with football. No, and it makes sense. Well, we have the Arena Football League, and that's tried for so long. It's like it starts as soon as football ends. It starts up like the week after, and it's funny because Philly's won, I think, 2 of the championships in like 10 years or whatever it's existed, but it just hasn't caught on. But
anyway, I need to get back to work.
All right, well, you do that.
Thanks a lot for the advice. That was good.
No problem. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Cheers.
Cheers. So if anybody else would like to jump in and talk, I'm here for a little bit longer. We were just got done talking about all this monetization, and that's always seems to be a big topic with people looking to get into this stuff. It's not just, you want to share your passion, and at the same time you want to be able to a lot of times you want to turn it into money. And to me, there's really nothing wrong with that, because it does take time, right? And so a lot of times people don't take that into account. They're like, oh, well, you do the blog, and the blog is fun, and you create all this content, and you spend all this time, but I was talking to somebody today about how they donate to Patreon. People that constantly are producing content, they donate $5 or $10 a month to Patreon, and that's awesome. But I was like, how much money are they making on that Patreon account? I was like, and then how many writers do they have for that blog? I was like, you might be paying to keep the website going, but you're not paying them for their time. So effectively, they must love the content that they're putting out and that they're getting to write about and having their own platform. But without bringing in extra money, it's almost like I don't want to use the form of slavery, but it's like you're working to keep the lights on, and it's constantly like you're waiting for people to pay, to donate money, and that's where it's like, okay, sponsorships can sometimes be rough. They're not always great. Sometimes they have a lot of complaints. Sometimes they want to, the logo doesn't look right, or this doesn't look right. But at the end of the day, the pool of money, even though it's a small amount it's a small percentage. Like it might only be 1% of a budget versus, say, what we're going to put on TV or what we're going to put into radio. The online budget is small, 1%, say, just as an example, but it's still way more money to be obtained than the amount of money that one person, how many sets of one people are going to donate to your Patreon. So that's why you got to have a huge audience for that to work. I mean, there's people that make, 20 grand, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 on Patreon a month. And that's awesome. But you got to work your butt off to get that kind of money to come in the door, because you got to have that audience that really, really, really wants to be a part of it, and believes in what you're doing enough, and believes in it enough, and trusts it enough that they're going to donate every single month. And I mean, that it's ridiculous. So, excuse me, a lot of times you got to have multiple people working with you. You got to have a team. Like with Living the Dream podcast, I work with a team of people. There's 18 people on that team. And we're not really, not everybody on that team is getting paid or paid a lot. So, it can work to have a team. And if you can recruit people from your audience into working on that team, even if you're only making a little bit of money, they still might be happy because they're getting the exposure. Exposure is great when it's the thing that a person really wants to obtain or would like to obtain, versus money. It all depends on what level they're trying to put in and how much effort they're putting into to the content that's being made. So it can it can definitely be tough sometimes. Some people are really big. Well, if I'm not getting paid, then I'm not doing this, and to a certain extent, I agree with them. But I think that there's a fine line there that you have to be willing to work with. You have to be willing to put in the work, and the work is not going to normally get paid unless you come to the table with a big audience, and that's a mouthful. So it's really a case by case basis about whether or not you can get that kind of audience to work with. Now, as in Driving Maul's case, he has a big audience to pull from, which is phenomenal. Actually, I forgot to ask Driving Maul, if you're listening, how long have you been working at building your blog? Okay, rugby about a year. Wow. Wow, that's phenomenal. I'm just looking at his Twitter account here with 13.7 thousand followers. Before that, he tried it as a daddy blog, and failed. Yeah, that goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's hard to get people to care about you, so you have to use something that's bigger than you and what's recognizable and what people already care about to bring people in, and then outshine everybody else that's doing the same thing. So it's funny that with daddy blogs, people, mommy blogs, daddy blogs, you made it work, but you in your eyes you failed at it, but you probably learned a ton in that process, and then parlayed it into rugby, which you were also probably more passionate about as far as something you'd want to write about. And here you are a year later with way 13 times more followers than I have on Twitter. But that's phenomenal, man. It just goes to show you that you can't see failure as the end all be all, and you have to just move on. And whoa. So let me get this straight. So it was 500 to 800 views a month and you've used that as a failure. Well, I would say comparatively speaking, yeah, that is not doing nearly as well as your rugby blog. But again, it's getting people to care about you versus care about rugby. So it's different. So 500 to 800 views is still really good. If you're not, again, writing about something that already has that brand power and that brand recognition. Now he's at 10,000 views a month with rugby. So that's phenomenal. And you're writing articles constantly, and you're doing the Twitter stuff. You're gonna, as you continue to get bigger, and hopefully rugby picks up in America. History hasn't been too kind to anything that's not one of the big four. That's basketball, football, baseball, and hockey being the smallest of the four. So, we have arena football and soccer and all this other stuff. It's 3 to 6. Now, Driving Mall, do you have anybody else writing articles for your blog? No, so he doesn't. Wow, you're writing 3 to 6 articles a week, plus the Twitter chat, where you're doing a 20-minute Periscope talking about all of the latest awesomeness that's going on. That's phenomenal. 3 to 6 articles is a lot to write about, but you have a lot of material to pull from as well. Again, the difference between having something that has star power, and people already caring about it, like rugby, that are already searching for it. I think you could grow that, exponentially, and I think that once you move yourself to your own website, to your own WordPress installation on another host, I think that you could definitely monetize that very well, extremely well. Predictions are easy as do need much research. Oh, they don't easy. Don't need as much research as it is as it is his opinion. Yeah, well, that is true. Utilizing your opinion helps. One thing I watch is those and you probably wouldn't know it, Driving Mall, but the from the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force. It ended a while ago, but they do, one of the characters, Carl, does a Carl Stone Cold Lock of the Century of the week, and it's hilarious, and it's all opinion based, but it does very well because it's hilarious. It's about football. People care about football, and I think each episode's getting like 40 to 50,000 views on YouTube, which is great for like a 2-minute video. So quick as opposed to a feature that needs research. Yeah, I think opinions are great. There's, you watch ESPN. They have, you don't have Stephen A. Smith and whatever his face on there all the time, but he's, they're basically all opinions, and they just, they're doing research, but probably not as much as they're just spewing out information to make all that happen. But it's coming up on an hour and 45 minutes here, so I'm gonna wrap this up here. So thanks for watching. Excuse me again. Thanks for watching. Let's talk blogging and podcasting tips. You can get all my stuff from superjoepardo.com, and as well, the school is platform. yourdreamplatform.com. I run a podcast there. We're talking about podcasting and blogging and building an online business and all that stuff, as well as the school itself, where you can learn how to build and grow your online business through blogs and podcasts and videos and all that, and how to do all of it. So thanks again for watching, and we're out.